Hello. Welcome back. All right. Something I want to talk about today. Relationships. Okay, wait. Let me just show you my image. So, here's a diagram of your chakra energy systems and what each of them are responsible for. Now, we can go over this in depth one day, but I don't want to do all that today. I just really want to focus on this one. Your sacral chakra, where your creativity, sexuality, power, control. I can't read backwards. Power, control, boundaries, relationships. And its theme, or its truth, is honor one another, and its element is water. Okay. That's the important part. The element is water. Why? Because what does water do? Sorry, microphone. What does water do? It flows. It's not rigid. It's not a wall. It's not immovable. It's movable. It's a flow. So, why then is our relationship center and boundaries, particularly, associated with the water element? You would think that boundaries would be associated with earth, something immovable, right? Or like a wall. Right. It's interesting. I that kind of threw me as well. But then, upon further research and learning, boundaries must act as a semi-permeable membrane. Now, what does that mean? That means it's not a wall, guys. It's not keeping everything out. Boundaries are not a castle and a moat situation. Boundaries are a semi-permeable membrane. So what this means is you are still allowing the awareness of learning, basically. You're letting things into your zone, which is exactly what we need to do, which we're scared to do, especially after trauma, especially with trauma associated with people, which most trauma is, but, So, because, and then the truth to uphold is honor one another. So it kind of takes this new spin on boundaries, because I feel like sometimes in this modern day healing era, people think boundaries are like keeping everyone out and creating this wall and this defense mechanism and shutting yourself out from the world, basically. And that's actually unhealthy, because you're also shutting yourself, you're opening yourself up to stagnation, and you're shutting yourself down from movement, from evolution. Because what do every time we experience and learn something? We grow. We change our perspective, we change our perception on things, we apply a new wisdom, and we grow. So we cannot allow walls. No walls. So you should be able to still receive information, and that's what the difference is between boundaries and walls. Walls, you're not receiving nothing. You're staying exactly where you want to stay, and that's it. You don't need to look at anything else. You don't need to learn anything new. You don't want to meet any new people. That's it. You're done. Boundaries are a way to honor one another, because it's not you against the world. You are not a victim. Yes, you may have been victimized, but you're not prey. You're not prey. It's just, that's the experience you had. Like the analogy we mentioned plethora of videos ago. If you get attacked by a tiger in the jungle, and then you heal from the physical attack, and you go back to the jungle, the sight of just a leaf and the droplets on that leaf might cause you to be triggered into thinking you're going to get attacked by a tiger again. So that's a very unhealthy mode of operation. That's actually, we think that that's like protecting us somehow, but no, you're not protecting yourself from the tiger. You're now shutting yourself down from the experience of the jungle, which is completely way more than just the tiger. There's way more going on in the jungle for you to see. And that's the same with like you versus the world. Because just because this one thing happened to you with this group of people or this one person doesn't mean that the rest of the world, the jungle, is the tiger, is the predator. And we shut ourselves out from experiencing in full totality what this life has to offer us, this reality has to offer us because of fear. And with that fear, we tend to over-control, over-exhaust our power, creating these hard walls, and then we keep out all life experiences. Also, you're not honoring another. If you put up a wall, you're saying you're dangerous. And that's not fair. It's not fair. That's not the tiger. What if that's a mouse? And you're like, nah, you got to stay out there too. That's not honoring each other. Because now everyone is being painted as a tiger. Everyone's got stripes on now to you. And in the beginning of the healing journey, I think it's okay to have a little bit of a wall for just focusing on healing, not letting a bunch of people into your space. Like, that's fine, because you gotta do that work. But it's not forever. You can't become codependent with your own protection, your own overprotection skills. Right. Also, something else I wanted to mention. Well, just my brain just pops to it, so let's go to it. Seeking the validation of others. We really got to work on that, because you exist. You exist. You do not need other people to see you for you to then materialize and exist. You already are an existing material. And when I don't understand, I guess I do understand. I do understand why we do that. We do that as a way to, like, bounce off who we think we are to other people and be like, is this accepted? But why does that matter is the new thing that I want to bring up, because there's 8 point whatever billion people in the world. Why does it matter? Like we talked about plethora of videos ago as well. These people are like, the majority of them are NPC characters. It don't matter. And you can tell when someone's seeking validation and not being themselves. It's very obvious, and it's very hard to be around, because, like, I already like you, bro. Just be you. But they don't know how, because they constantly are trying to give you what you think you need. In turn, the vibrational output doesn't match this output, you know? Or like, and that puts us into our solar plexus chakra, which we touched on the other day. Your personality, self-esteem, gut instinct, willpower, and confidence. And that one is honor thyself. Honor self. So, honor one another and honor self. Honoring one another comes before honoring self in this chart, which makes me think honoring one another helps you gain personality, self-esteem, willpower, confidence, things of that nature, right? Because when you start to do that, honor one another, you end up learning how to honor yourself. And and that's the same thing with, like, self-love. Like, if you know, but you can practice loving others to learn how to love yourself. Like, that's the thing that is always, like, kind of backwards, because sometimes you're like, you can't expect to be loved until you loved yourself. But that's not really the case. I mean, you can be loved and not love yourself. Like, that's a common thing that happens all over the place. But you will not know thyself. You will not, this person too who's loving you might not be able to love you in a full spectrum of what you need out of love, because you don't know what those needs are, because you have not practiced loving yourself yet. So that's really that. Like, if you know how to love yourself, you can help teach other people how to love you, which also brings us back to honoring one another and introducing boundaries. But it's through creativity, power, control, boundaries, relationships that we kind of learn more about who we are. You got to admit that's so true, right? Not the validation of others, but honoring others and being present with others. You kind of pick up on what they're about, and you could be like, oh yeah, that's very much like what I think. Or you could be like, that's actually not how I think. It's fine. It's fine. But that's also helping you kind of narrow down who you are authentically, because you're listening, you're observing, and you're like, am I like that? And then you implant what that person's saying and you put it here in your visualization center and you see if you can play it out as you. If you can't see it here and it's hard, then no, you're not like that. That's not who you are. Like, and that's the thing that we don't really do as much when we're around other people is pause. Stop trying to become what you think others want and just observe others, listen, pay attention, maintain presence, and you end up learning about yourself. So instead of overcompensating and pushing out and projecting out, sit, ground, and center, and just observe and listen. And not agreeing with everything other people say is exactly what you need to help to figure out what it is you do agree with. And that's why we're all kind of messed up as a society sometimes, because we're not learning from each other. We're just mimicking and copying and trends and fads and this and that. And in turn, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're not putting the puzzle pieces together and utilizing other people as exactly what they are, mirrors to self. Am I like that or am I not like that? Oh, that rubbed me the wrong way. Why did it rub me the wrong way? When that person said that, it made me feel this. Why did I feel that way? What other memories have happened in my life where I felt that way? Go down that rabbit hole. Like, it's not about other people. It's the messages that you may receive. And that's why boundaries need to be semi-permeable. Because we need to be like, oh, do I like that or do I not like that? I don't know. You know what I mean? We need that to grow. Put this over there. Okay. So, finding out, and like, is it important? I'm telling you it is, but do you feel it's important to find out who you are authentically? Not who you are surrounded by your friends, not who you are when other people are in the room, but like just you. And then how to carry that into situations, because your unique vibrational frequency is a part of a bigger, larger picture of a puzzle. This you're a puzzle piece to a thing. And if you just copy and repeat, where's the evolutionary growth? Where is the complex thinking? Where is the observation? Where's the mindfulness? Where is any of those critical thinking and reflecting skills? Because that needs to happen like every day. It's not anyone's job to give you good feelings. You will just have feelings, no matter what. And your perception and your level of healing on your journey depicts whether or not you receive that information with a filtered lens. So it don't matter if that person's trying to tell you something good. If you have a filter of trauma on, you might translate that as to something bad. So that's why you cannot make assumptions or make statements like that, like only people can only make me feel good, the ones that are around me, because that's impossible. It's impossible. Because you're going to hear something and understand it at your level of perception, wherever you are in life. And that can take a really good person and turn them into a villain in your story, because they got a freaking striped shirt on and they remind you of a tiger. So let's not label favorable or unfavorable emotions anymore. Let's not label what other people... No one can make you do or feel anything. You do or feel based off of your level of perception and your own prefrontal cortex of pre-lived experiences. So it's up to you how you want to feel. Someone could insult you and you could still feel laughter and have fun with that. It's up to you. So that's why don't shut out. Learn how to honor self, which is through authenticity. And authenticity is not an embodiment of emotion. An embodiment of emotion is just, what's it called? Like lackadaisical self-care. Like it's not self-care. Like it's not whatever this is in a word. That's what that does. It does nothing for you. Just takes you onto 1,000 different freaking, you're on the highway of life, and then the second you embody an emotion, you're just detouring. You're like, let's just take this exit. I don't know the town. I don't know the area. I don't know if the crime rate is good or not. I don't know where I am. I don't know. Right. That doesn't seem like a really responsible thing, does it? It's not intentional. It's not pre-thought out. It's not proactive. You don't know whether or not it aligns with who you are unless you're like a wanderer and you're like, I need this. Like there's, but I'm telling you, the highway of life, embodying emotions is the detour into a town you don't know, like a ghost town. And like people might say, well, I like detour. Sure, but you know how long to get to your goal it's going to take every time you take an exit ramp? Like instead of just stopping at the service station, like the what the thing is called? Rest stop. There's rest stops along the highway. You can stop, you can detour, you can get out of your car, take a little walk, as long as it's still in alignment with the freaking highway. That's authenticity. Embodiment of emotions is, let's just go here. Cool. Does it align with your values? Does it align with your goals? Does it align with your future higher self, how you would like to respond? No. It's all just a big question mark. And that might be fun for a while for some people because they like the adrenaline of it, the endorphins that come from it, but that is cheap. Cheap adrenaline, cheap endorphins, and then that translates into addiction, and then you become addicted to embodying emotions and starting drama or maintaining drama or stirring the pot so that you can release that cheap dopamine and that cheap endorphins. No, just stay on the highway, bro. This is good. Boredom is not boredom. It's just peace. Peace is a good thing. You don't need to be constantly stimulated all the time. And that's literally what embodiment of emotions totally makes you do. Like, it's just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, and can you still feel? Yes. Yes. But the embodiment? No. No, don't become it. Recognize it. Have a little tear if you need. But then move on. Who are you? Not the emotions that you can, they're just, it's like every time your stomach makes a digestive sound, you're like, oh my God. Relax. That's what it does. Same with emotions. So, it's no one's job to make you feel good. Nobody's job. I don't know why we think that. Okay, so here's why I personally understand this concept more than I think maybe just a peer would, right? I've lived in, I can't even really count how many different towns. Basically just starting fresh every single time, right? You know, even if it's just the town over, it's still a whole new area, a whole new, like, friend groups, a whole new everything. You run into the same people. I'm not saying, like, actually same people, because I've come from New Jersey and I'm in New York now, and I meet the same people. What does that tell us? There's copies of people already. Like, there's personality types, there's archetypes of people, they're there. And that's why you're like, oh, you remind me of my friend so-and-so. Yeah, because there's, you know, we're all unique, but, you know, there's still similarities amongst us. And what that got me thinking is, Why do I care so much? Like, I've had the same friend, but in 3 different people over the last 6 years. Well, no longer. I keep forgetting it's been 5 years since I've been up here. So, like, over the last 8 years, I've had the same 3 friends, but in 3 different bodies. And it's amazing because, like, yes, do I miss the ones I'm not around anymore? Sure. But, like, in all honesty, kind of not really, because they're right here. And, like, that was the eye-opener for me to be myself, because, like, just find a new person. Like, you know what I'm saying? If this version of that person, like, you're not missing anything, is my point. Like, there's more people out there with that same personality type that'll treat you with better respect, kind of thing. So just get rid of the old one, find the new one, and you know what? Sometimes they'll still come with the same problems, but guess what? You would have learned boundaries from the last version to then implement before the crap goes and hits the fan this time. So, but what this has brought my awareness to is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one's thinking about you. Like, no one's judging you. No one's, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't think it matters. So I just believe it doesn't happen, because who cares? There's copies of people everywhere, man. What are you missing out on? Like, oh, so let's say the way you authentically rub so-and-so the wrong way. Okay. There's like 80,000 of that personality type. Maybe that personality type doesn't suit you. And then you start to recognize it's not about the individual. It's about the actions, the morals, and values of the person. So, and there's groupings. You know? And so that's why it's like, you can't take anything personal. You just can't. That's just what that group of people is gonna be like. And like, cool. You don't need to change their mind. I enjoy different people at different times, kind of thing, you know? But then I can't just spend all my time with one, you know? It's gotta be equally distributed, because all these unique personalities feed into my perception and my reality of things in a way that completes like a puzzle piece picture. And I learn from all of them, and they give me different perspectives on things so that I can use my brain and critically think and things like that. And, you know, eyes open to something new, or see something in a way that okay, here's a great example too. So yesterday, went out to ice cream, then we went to the park with my friends, my boyfriend and our 2 friends, and we were looking over this overlook, and there's this house like all the way at the top of a hill, and it's like nestled at the top of this mountain, you know, with all these trees, and then the town was down here. I turned to my friend and I said to her, I was like, what an ass. Making everybody that knows him gotta go travel all the way up there to visit, you know? And I was like, and then she goes, oh, but that's why they go, because he's got the good views and he shares it with his friends, and it's worth the drive. And I was like, yeah, but watch, he's like a jerk about it. And he's like, yeah, you better bring a good bottle of wine or a nice charcuterie board to enjoy my views. So that was my level of perception on making up a narrative about a random house. Hers was that she visualized it as like a monster house, and it's like coming down the mountain at the town, rah, like Godzilla. And like, and then she proceeded to say, but the house can't go back up the hill. It's too heavy. The stilts, it won't, like, you know. And I was like, wow, you have a perspective of hope, because you're giving all the townspeople a route of escape to just go up the hill. And it was just so funny, like, seeing that. Like, that's how, that was what the narrative she created about the house and my narrative created about the house. Completely different. And that's good. That's what I want in life. Because then I can visualize her perspective and visualize that thing playing out, and also be inspired by the fact that she visualized and imagined hope. Whereas I did not. And so it gets you to also challenge your thinking. And it made me think like, yeah, why did I paint that guy as an ass? Like, why did I do that? Right? Like, is it because I'm jealous I don't have that? Or is it also because it's triggering my own feelings of anxiety that you're a half hour away from town? If you need some eggs, you better plan a good 40-minute drive. That triggers me. So my immediate reaction was, that guy's an ass, because he just made his whole life complicated, not only for himself, but the people who love him. He's not me. He's not me. Maybe a half-hour trip to the Weiss for him is not a big frickin' deal. So that's my point. Everyone's got different levels of perspective, perception, and we're supposed to learn from each other. Going back to why boundaries are a semi-permeable membrane, because you've got to be able to let in to understand. You don't need to always accept. You can let in and go, actually, I don't really like that. Like, maybe when I told my perspective, maybe she, in a playful way, was like, I don't really like that we made him negative. Let's make the house this. And, and like, that's great. That's the point. Not supposed to be offended. Not supposed to turn it around and be like, oh, you don't like my narrative of the guy on the hill? Well, fuck you. Like, no, that's not the point. The point is to hear other people out and be like, oh, that's hilarious. I like that you said that. Now I'm visualizing that, and that's funny. And you're seeing the house come and attack the town. And it also inspired hope that people have enough time to get out of there. Like, that's great. So it's not for other people to make you feel good or bad. It's the job of other people to mirror back your own actions, your own words, your own thoughts, your own perceptions of things, and get those wheels churning. Right. So, but then we get wrapped up in thinking that we're being attacked, which is by far one of my biggest pet peeves in all of pet peeve history. And then attack the messenger of their own perception. Like, that seems a little unfair, doesn't it? We all have different brains and different ways of thinking and different imagination skills. So why would I try to force feed mine, which is an imaginary thing, down your throat? Which is also, when you think about it, boundaries. Why would I force that down your throat? If you don't want to do it or not, if you don't want to listen to my boundaries, I'm just not going to text you to hang out. Right? Like, no ill feelings. No harborment of resentment. Why? It doesn't matter. They're imaginary. They only matter to me. And if that person can't respect that, fine. Cut them up. Let them go find another version of me that doesn't have that boundary, because there's copies everywhere. So, right. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Just cut them out. That's my boundary. Okay, bro. Well, I don't really agree with your boundary. Okay, then let's not hang out anymore. We don't need to yell at each other. We don't need to be mean. We don't need passive-aggressive tonality. We don't need that. That is the killer of honoring one another. Passive-aggressive tonality murders honor one another. Because that is the most disrespectful way to talk to another human being. It doesn't matter what you think they deserve. That's something that really gets me, because when I had a dialectical breakdown with somebody who was treating me with passive aggressive tonality, and I asked them, well, first I said, I don't appreciate being spoken to in that manner, and I'd appreciate if moving forward we don't do that anymore. And this person goes ahead and tells me, yeah, but the way you said A, B, and C made me do that. And I said, so I deserved your disrespect because you misheard what I said. Because what I said came from a place of facts. You asked me a question and I answered it. You didn't like the effing answer. So I deserved the disrespect because I didn't placate an answer for you. And that's oh, who are you to tell me what I deserve? I've been through enough shit in my life not to be berated vocally by some random freaking NPC character. I'm freaking good. But it's a lesson to learn. There are people committed to disrespecting you. What are you going to do about it? I did the best I could by expressing my discomfort with how she spoke to me. This was like years ago. And it was like at an old job like years ago. And that person ended up walking out. Not because of me. I just think it's funny because I was the target for this person for a minute for why everything was unfavorable for them. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not me, but let's have a little convo about it. And I did. And I was like, I don't really appreciate, the tone, I don't really like being spoken to like that. Is there anything I can do to, help you out here? And that happened after she told me that she said that I deserved that, because I was like, no, we need to. So I did all I could by being like, right, let's break it down. And because of that, though, 2 days later, this person and I had a heart-to-heart in the parking lot. And they told me a lot of stuff that's been going on in their life, which is overwhelming them, which would make what I said into a villain thing to say. And now I understood her so much better. And we both hugged and was like, you're all good, everything's fine. But then we also realized I wasn't the reason that the job wasn't going well. The job wasn't going well because the job was crappy, and that's why she ended up leaving. So, but that's the thing. It's not anyone's job to make you feel good. And if someone makes you feel bad in that way, like, in my opinion, with passive-aggressive tonality, that needs to be, discussed right away. Because that's disrespectful. That's different than you saying something from your level of perception and me perceiving it differently. No, when you have an aggressive tone in your voice, that's aggression. And we need to nip that in the butt, because I'm not going to walk on eggshells waiting for you to hit me one day. Because people don't realize that that's what that means. Especially for trauma survivors. Passive aggressiveness turns into aggressiveness. I have never been... Okay. I have. Lately. That's why I'm nipping in the butt with these people. But honestly, I just end up cutting them out. Because if people have unbridled aggression like that it comes out in their speaking, they're a dangerous person. They're a dangerous, out of control person. If you cannot control how you are perceiving your own voice, I am not going to be around you. Because the next step is you're going to hit me. In that situation, it was a work situation, and that was something I felt was important because I did like the girl. I liked her, and I could tell there was something deeper going on, and I'm really glad that we had that heart-to-heart, and we could, it kind of, the job stunk, and, that really put a lot of pressure on people, too. But that's still no excuse to speak to each other with disrespect. Honor one another. Honor one another. And then honoring self is saying, hey, I didn't really appreciate that. I don't think you meant it that way, but can we talk about it? Because I just, it's making me feel kind of uncomfortable. You don't need to get mad. You don't need to attack. You don't need to, you just express from your level of being, because that's happened to me a lot since I've switched into the reacting mode, into the observing and responding mode. I noticed that it doesn't matter what I say, people are going to see me as a bad guy. It's because it's up to their level of perception and their own level of self-growth. And you know what? That's fine with me. It's really okay. You just don't need to be around me. And that's fine. And that's why I also am telling you this, because just be authentic. Because it doesn't matter how many people you placate, you're going to make someone upset no matter what. Because if everyone has the potential of making you a villain based on their own experiences and their pasts and their level of perception, then what do you have to lose by practicing being authentic? Not trying to constantly be like a chef and serving up this plate of what you think your customers want to eat. Nah, dude, what do you want to eat? I like cherries. I don't like cherries. Oh, okay. Why don't you like cherries? I don't like cherries because blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's great. What do you like instead? Apples. Cool. Am I an ass because I don't like cherries? No. It's just different. And that's okay. We have to learn that. And then if people are not going to accept that, don't be around those people. Those are NPC characters. They already opted out of the train ticket to evolution. They already said, we're not coming along for the unity of humanity, which is where we need to be. So they're going to get left behind. Their lineage is going to die out. Like, don't worry about it. But then someone asked me once, like, how do I understand who I am authentically? Observe. Do stuff and observe, and then ask yourself, how'd that make you feel? Why did it make you feel that way? What other things is that feeling connected to for you when you, like, dive into self rather than projecting onto others. Dive in. And then the more you do that and become aware of self, and then in turn confident of self, because then you apply it and also do a bunch of cool stuff with your life, so you're like, yeah, this is like validated and solidified now. Watch your aggression and irritation towards other people just, like I said a handful of videos ago, some guy tried to start an argument with me in the parking lot. I just recognized where he was going. I could feel it in my chest. He wanted to continue. He would like to have that. Like, I could just sense it. So I just said, okay, have a great day. We both walked into the same place. We still had to walk together, but I just shut it down. I don't need to keep talking about that. He's still, but I don't need that. Just put on my little silent bubble. I don't need to listen. It's your choice. Semipermeable membrane. I heard him, let it in, translated it into an emotion. The emotion was, I don't really like this. So then I responded, all right, walking away. No big deal. No irritation, no aggression. I told him to have a beautiful day. It's all good. Because that's my boundary. I let it in. I rolled it around my mouth a little bit. And I was like, I don't like the way that tastes. So I'm not going to put it back in my mouth. Okay? Don't need to tell that guy that he tastes bad. Don't need to put his face in the, look what you did. I don't need to do that. I don't need to win. Because who am I trying to win? Who am I trying to impress? What freaking trophy is getting given out by winning an argument about something that's so trivial and stupid? But then when we have that seeking of self-validation through others, yeah, I probably would have argued with him. Because I needed him to understand my point. Why? He already has a pretty rigid opinion on whatever the topic is. Let him have it. It's not my job. My job is to make sure I maintain my peace, maintain my morals, my values, my ethics, my alignment, and constantly respond from a place of a higher self. That's all. That's my responsibility. So, cut it down, shut it out. But I was open to having a nice conversation with a stranger. That was the semi-permeable membrane. I was ready and willing, and the second it started to go south, I spit it out and I walked away. That's the boundary. And you know what? I said this in the video too when I talked about this, when this happened. Dude didn't even open the door for two women walking into the cafe. So, like, why do I need that man's respect? I don't. Because he doesn't fit into my category of values and morals. So I don't need him in my life. I don't need him to understand me. I don't need him to validate me. He's not on my level. I would rather be validated by somebody who's either above me in somewhere that someone I look up to and I'm trying to, become something like that. More higher self, whatever, or someone that's my equal. And I self-validation is the number one key. But if you're gonna look for anything like that from a mentor from someone you trust and can confide in. That's all that matters. You don't need to validate yourself off of every human mirror. No, you're looking at yourself. So how do you want to respond to what this man's giving you? It's all good. You don't need to embody every reaction. Nobody has to respect you. Nobody has to make you feel good, because it doesn't matter. Even if they are trying to make you feel good, you could perceive that as being a villain, because you don't know. What if they got a striped shirt on? You're like, that's a tiger. So like, semi-permeable membrane, observe, take a seat, seat back. Like, what do I mean by that? Take a step back, bro. You don't need to be right here with every interaction you have. Just let it be here. My doctor told me I'm going to have bifocals by the time I'm 40. So he taught me to try and read like this more, to slow the process. Do that with people, bro. Why they got to be so close? You're just deteriorating yourself. Like I am with my eyes when I read like this. So I don't read without my glasses on, even though I'm nearsighted. I make sure, because if I'm reading like this, I'm not exercising my eyes. I'm not forcing them to learn. If I take my glasses off and I just look like this, I'm letting my eyes be lazy. And I've had that happen in my past, where when that happens, I was reading something like this without my glasses on, they went internally cross-eyed, because I have astigmatism. So when my eye got lazy and wasn't being worked out, my vision went crossed. So what does that tell you about keeping everything in life, every experience, every interaction here? It helps you work the muscles. It helps you work your mind. It helps you work your body. It helps you work your soul. Like, you know, if you just put in here and reacting to everything, you're not flexing your self-mastery growth. You're not flexing your self-mastery muscles. That's it. You're not flexing your self-mastery muscles. If you're too close to the project, you're doing it lazy. Get far away. Challenge yourself. Challenge your eyes. Make sure, challenge those muscles. Get those muscles working. Spiritual fitness, bros. An easy life only means you react to everything. And in turn, it's not actually an easy life, because all the things you react to creates turmoil and chaos within your reality. So what you really need to do is respond. You need to respond so that you can create the reality you want to create. If I want to maintain peace and calm, that's my value, that's my goal, so that when someone else tries to pick a fight with me, I let them go. Because my values and my goals for self and my self-mastery matters more to me than stepping out of alignment to teach somebody how to see things my way. All right. Have a great day, guys. Get out in the sun. If you're up in New York, there's actually sun, so run to it.